Before we get started, a couple of things. Firstly, I graduated from college. That's why I've been absent. I was making sure I needed to graduate. Secondly, only about 10% of you are subscribed. You should subscribe. I don't bite. Thirdly, it's time to get back into the swing of things, and we're going to start things off with my main man, the hottie, Zorga. So here's what I'm working with. Now, I gotta explain some of the card choices. So firstly, you all should know this. I love, not only Zorga, I love Grave Zorga. I think one of the main issues that I have with blue Zorga especially is the fact that A, you constantly need to GDR, which kind of makes commitment weird in a way, and B, you have to go through extra hoops and hurdles in order to make sure that you have an order in your hand, and Grave Zorga kind of looks at all those issues that blue Zorga has and says, I can make it so that it's not awkward for power commitment, and so long as you have a soul, you're always going to be able to Alchemagic. And I like that. I like being able to fetch back an order that, just for my drop zone. It allows me to play new cards that aren't just GDR, because I'm not necessarily a huge fan of GDR, just because of those commitment reasons. So let me walk you through the individual card by card, and then as I go, I'll explain the card choices. So first off, for Zorga, kind of self-explanatory, Persona Ride, yada yada. If you Alchemagicked this turn, the front row gets 5k just statically. It becomes a Vanguard ability. You don't need to allocate power. It's just whatever enters the front row gets 5k. And then for a Soul Blast and a discard of a card, you can add back an order. Sometimes you can just discard an order, such as Death Inviting Black Magic, for example. Discard it and then just add it back to your hand. It works. Fun little combo that I like doing is if Tear for Malice is in Soul, you can Soul Blast the Tear for Malice out, discard a card, and then get Tear for Malice back into your hand. That way, when you Alchemagic, Tear for Malice is always going to be in Soul, and then you just kind of start looping stuff like, I don't know, Miasma, and then it's just that whole turn keeps turning into Miasma, kill the dragons, Malice, kill the dragons, Miasma, call a booster, stuff like that, etc., etc. Husk Dragon, Ranker Chain, and starter. This can be any starter. I just kind of I like how Rawa works in the replays. It's going to be Charlicles. I like both of them. Ranker Chain, draw 2, discard 1, kind of self-explanatory. Husk Dragon gets you back in order. This is kind of self-explanatory for Zorga and kind of Stoicheia as a whole. I'm playing 3 Dragon. I think this issue that I have is that I want booster, or I want attackers, which ends up being stuff like, you know, Roaming Prison Dragon, or Shadow Cloak, or the spicy one of Husk Dragon. And then we have boosters, so long as you can commit at least 2 Prison Dragons, you're good to go, because you're always going to be able to loop them with Tear for Malice, because they're going to be in the drop zone by the time the order starts resolving, which is when the game recognizes that you're playing an order. So that's handy. But if you don't see Prison Dragon or Shadow Cloak as attackers, your turns kind of become just a little weird. So I might bump this up to 4 and then cut down on one of these orders, maybe. But we'll get to the orders in a bit. So right now, 3 Prison Dragon, phenomenal. 4 Shadow Cloak dumps any of these out. And for this, you really need more than 1, because you can have 1 in hand, and then it's just kind of it runs into the same problem where it's like, well, what am I going to be Alchemagicking with? You know, so Shadow Cloak enables that. 2 Salvia, I really like Salvia. Salvia, if you're grade 3 or greater, calls a plant token. Now, the reason why I especially like the plant token is that the plant token comes in as a 5k, because that's what plant tokens are. If you commit this 8k booster behind a Prison Dragon, by default, that's already making a 23 to 28k column. 15 plus 8 makes 23. Zorga's extra 5k makes it 28. Etc., etc. An extra 5k makes it 33. 3s and 8s are the magic numbers, and Salvia plus Dragon makes one of those threshold numbers. The 5k token goes exactly behind the Vanguard, because 3s and 5s, like I just said, are the magic number. Or sorry, 3s and 8s are the magic numbers. So the 3 from Zorga and then the 5 from Token makes it 8. So automatically, Sounding Column is 18, Persona Ride 28. Zorga's own skill bumps him up to 33. If you include the Miasma, it brings him up to 38, which is really nice. 3 plus 8 does not make a magic number. It still makes it 21, 31, etc., etc., which isn't a magic number, and it bothers me. That's why that's one of my biggest grievances with Hexorb, is that it doesn't necessarily quite make magic numbers. And so you have to play, 10k boosters and whatnot. But being able to just slap this down on a side and then for free get a booster for the center column so that it makes a magic number, wonderful. Rogue Headhunter needs no explanation. By default, it is a 13k booster if you played an Order this turn. So that plus Roaming Dragon automatically makes a 28k column, which is phenomenal. Reduces the Alchemagic cost by a counterblast, so that's also real nice. 4PG, kind of self-explanatory. I'm split on the on 2/2 of the heal effect triggers. The extra crit doesn't necessarily come up, but I'm not going to not respect the fact that Bruce is in a format, Lauren is in a format, and just Overlord, and not necessarily Overlord, but Bov is still in the format, so I'm going to respect it. I might drop it because in the games today it doesn't necessarily come up, but the multi-attack one definitely comes up. My hair does not want to stay in place. So 2/2 might turn into 4 of 1, or I'll just go back to vanilla triggers, but we'll see. 3 draw, I really like Rainbow Trigger in Zorga. Having draws allows you to dig deeper because you are a combo deck, and Zorga helps alleviate the issues of having a combo deck. However, I still like being able to draw for pieces as well as dig for shield value, because what my issue with Zorga right now is the fact where you can have this big explosive turn, 2 crit, 2 crit. Your opponent survives it and it's like cards in hand and you're kind of sitting there like 5. and then you'll die, and if you don't, then you better kill him on the crackback. So I like digging for shield value, also being a 10k shield, really nice. 4 effect crits, they can go to soul, I guess. It's neat. It doesn't help make magic numbers, but the fact that they go to soul, it could come up. It never really comes up because I kind of value it being a 15k shield. And also, I'm usually in control of how I'm using my soul at this point. Like, I'll have a tier 4 Malice in rotation, so there's always going to be something going into soul, but having a backup card that allows it to go to soul, it's cute, I guess. 4 fronts makes 2 to passes easier if that's the first one you check, so OT, it's OT. For orders, I'm on 4 Miasma. This is Soul Body Condensation while also doubling Zorga's top text, which I really enjoy. It makes it so that you don't necessarily have to commit in awkward ways to power placements, because the ability is placed on the Vanguard, and it's basically Zorga's first skill just twice. So you're able to just call whatever you want, and then on the open board state, the Prison Dragons will get the power. Really like that. Death Inviting Black Magic. It's Pot of Greed. There were orders that I wanted to play, but they require a Soul Blast primarily, and I think in Grave Zorga, the less cards that say Soul Blast as a requirement cost, the happier you're going to be, because that means you're going to be able to Zorga for longer. The only matchup I'm concerned about is the Barrow Magnus matchup, and the reason why is because if you end on a board of 2 Prison Dragons, Barrow Magnus is going to slurp them into your soul. So realistically, for any of these, especially like an ideal far away, which I'll get to in a bit, because it's funny, You can replace one of these for a spiritual body condensation, a cursed soul squirming in agony, if you want to dump both of them out. Be my guest, but I'd more recommend soul body condensation just because Zorga already takes one soul blast, and then the cost for soul spiritual body condensation also requires a soul blast, so by default you're going to have 2 dragons out of your soul for that. So you go off. That's really the only matchup I'm concerned about in terms of the dragon placements. I see it in blue Zorga nowadays, and I'm like, well, shit. We have 2 Gather Upon Me. I think in this build of Zorga, this really shines, especially considering the fact that if you already have an order in hand, you can discard something dead like a prison dragon, and then just add back an order just for the sake of discarding it off of Gather Upon Me. There are a lot of times where my opening turn or my first grade 3 turn will be my Asthma plus Gather Upon Me, and it is just an aggressive first grade 3 ride, and it's effective. I enjoy it. I enjoy having Triple Drive Vanguard on the first grade 3 ride. I now understand what it's like to play Prison. Fuck that deck. 2 Tearful Malice. It goes to Soul, it countercharges you and draws you a card while also clearing the board for dragons, especially if the dragons are already on board and your opponent's not willing to give them back to you in your drop zone. You're able to retire both dragons as part of the maintenance cost. It then goes to Soul, or it puts whatever order is the one from hand into Soul, draws you a card, and countercharges you 1. So ultimately, Zorga's getting 1 Soul regardless. And then an idea far away. I really like this. I got this recommended to me by somebody at Alternate Universes in Pennsylvania. Shout out to them. Shout out to Jake specifically, because they were like, oh yeah, what about the Magnolia order that gives something 5k? And I'm like, okay. And then I wanted more orders. I was initially playing like 8, but they were all duplicates, and I'm like, I need more names. So I looked to this, A, because it's free. B, I can allocate it to a booster, because the boosters usually shouldn't go anywhere. And if I allocate it to a side column, especially like a Rogue Headhunter boosting a Roaming Prison Dragon, that column is most likely going to be the last column. So first up, the attack column is going to be center side side. So if this side column is the last one to attack, the booster is getting 15k extra power just from Vanguard swinging and this side column swinging, and then it's going to get power from the unit it is boosting attacking. So it is 5, 10, 15 on the boost. That Rogue Headhunter is 28k by itself, boosting most likely a 25k attacker. That is a 53k attack by default. Let's go. I really like it. So, this is the deck list. I do think that if you want a more gas option, take the gas as you will. I mean, this is how I like it. This is how I really enjoy this. This feels good to me. But I have 4 replays to show you. 2 matches. I didn't record the 3rd game, but we have 2 games that show strengths of Zorga, and within those same matchups, weaknesses of Zorga. So, let's jump in. So this first off, firstly, I want to thank my friend Cheyenne for helping me make content for these. It was really fun playing on, it was just really fun recording these. So, Cheyenne has this really based Rowoa Flagberg deck, and it really caught me off guard. So he's going first, rides the Rowoa, calls the plant token. Boom, easy. My go. Discard Prison Dragon. Draw some cards. Discard the Tearful Malice. We're going in, baby. We're going in for 8. We drive truck Pot of Greed. And it's fine. It's fine. And then he rides the Grade 2 Rowoa. Calls a second column. I'm like, damn. Check the defensive trigger, though. Phenomenal. We draw for turn. We discard Pot of Greed. we choose to get back Pot of Greed. That was just me showing the Pot of Greed. And then this we didn't realize that Salvia needed me to be on a grade 3 in order to get the token, so I'm just like, 10k Vanguard. I drive check the Shadow Cloak, and the Shadow Cloak's really good. Now, it's Cheyenne's turn, and he rides up, as one does, calls the promo that hopefully we'll get quite soon, and then he just starts multi-attacking, doing his thing. We realize he realizes that he wanted to do a little bit differently, so especially considering the fact that the promo says my Vanguard has to be grade 3 or greater. So he's multi-attacking, and I'm not vibing, as one does. So he swings, I say no guard, and the man goes crit heal, and I'm just hating life. Check a draw trigger though, pretty nice. This is us just repairing the game state. So now it's my turn. Draw, gather upon me, and I'm like, ooh, nice. So here we go. Call Salvia properly this time. Go Shadow Cloak. Shadow Cloak. I think I dump a idea because that was just a one of I had in the deck. And so Soul Blast out the Rancor Chain, discard the Miasma, get back the Miasma. It's free real estate. We Alchemagic. Boom, Miasma, gather upon me. Discard Pot of Greed, get back Rancor Chain. Shadow Cloak column is now going to be 30k by default. Call back the Prison Dragon. Boom. This is exactly the situation I was talking about. We go in. We go 28. Center column. Check a heal trigger. Boom. Roaming Prison Dragon. Into the drop zone. And we check a front. This man checks a draw. So, I'm like, 2 crit. Take it or leave it. He decides to PG. And I decide to try to be something a little cute here. I go after the rear guard, trying to counterblast choke him. Whether that was correct or not remains to be seen, but I kind of needed to stem some bleeding and not just have him have free attackers. So calls down the inlet. I intercept. Cheyenne's going off. Always able to get the 5th attack, much to my chagrin. Damage check another PG. Thanks, Buster. I guard. He leaves the inlet dragon for the last attack. I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. I needed an attacker in Shadow Cloak. I don't feel like guarding with it. I also don't feel like guarding with a heal trigger, but say love you. We go Zorga. I think we call down the Shadow Cloak, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we call down the Shadow Cloak. I don't know where we get here. Ah, yes, we try to hit harder with the Gather Upon Me line. So we Zorga, we discard the Salvia, because at this point the Salvia is a dead card in hand. We already have the back row established. What do we get? I kind of forget what we get. We get back the Tear for Malice. Ah, yes. So, discard, kill, draw, countercharge, triple drive. And because we had the 2 dragons in drop zone, boom, 25k, 2 crit. Everything gets 5k from Zorga's skill. Absolutely vibing. We swing in, and, Cheyenne has a lot of shield value. He says no guard, though, because obviously have him at 2 damage. I decided to give everything to the side column, just because I was still on that damage choking mindset. However, I stupidly swing with the 2 crit column first, when I should have swung with this column just to provoke a response. But it didn't matter. He had enough shield value, and this is kind of the thing about Flagberg. If they have a chance to tank as well as they did, it's going to be very hard to punch through their hand. And Zorga is just not super well equipped to deal with it. Now, this is the part where he says 3 to guard. So I go PG, crit, and I decide what the last card in hand was, and I decided, I need to discard the Persona Ride, so that I am able to guard fast attack. I draw into Miasma, and I'm like, ooh, nice. I go Tearful Malice, discard Miasma, get back the Tearful Malice because it was already in Soul. We go Tearful Malice, Miasma, kill 2, call back the Salvia, just to make an extra booster. It doesn't help make a nice column. However, I figured having a booster is better than having no booster. It gets over a 15k shield. So here we go. Swing it in. 28. And it's I'll be real with you. It's not even close. I mean Cheyenne PG's, he has all the shield value in hand, and I'm just like, I guess I'll go crit go burr. Swinging in for 30 at a rear guard, 43 at face. I don't know. Maybe I should have swung the 30k into face just to provoke a reaction. But even if I did that, he still has the overtrigger in hand, which I didn't know at the time. But, there's just so much shield value in his hand that, you're not going to be able to break through it. So, swinging in face, I got 3 cards in hand. He's got 4 attacks. It's the Agel situation. So I go 2 to pass, bang on the heal trigger. And unfortunately, it just did not work out that way. Game 2, or the second game. This one more showcases the strength of it all. Tails never fails. Once again, going second. Cheyenne's doing the standard Rawoa stuff, discard, draw, Rancor Chain, discard Miasma, swinging in. Boom. Easy. Discarding the SBC, he just moves over the token. It's going to get retired anyways. Might as well save a command. Check the defensive trigger. Never getting punished on defensive triggers. Discard the Prison Dragon, Ride Husk, get back Miasma, double call, and rush with Shadow Cloak. I initially go for an Ideal, but I realize I want the Tearful Malice in rotation because I already have a Dragon Down. So, start doing that. Rushes him down, checks the crit, rides up to Flagbird. Now this is where things kind of get convoluted. We don't immediately realize that Inlet requires me to be on a grade 3 or greater, or that it needs to attack a grade 3 or greater in order to restand. So this is just us fixing the board state. So it doesn't necessarily change a whole lot. Slaps down the Ascendance Assault, attacks me face. I intercept. I intercept. I say no guard. It checks a PG into 3. Damage check the PG. Eat the last attack. Go crit. Now, this is the rush. Discard Salvia. Ride Zorga. Soul Blast the Rancor Chain. Discard a heal. I figure, gotta try to kill him where I can. Call down the Shadow Cloak. Shadow Cloak, now I put an Ideal far away, down. We go Miasma. We go Gather Upon Me. And arguably, I should have called the Rogue Headhunter. Ultimately, it does not matter. I call the Rancor Chain behind the Vanguard because it helps make a magic number because it's a 10k booster, which means this center column is going to be 33k by itself. Every column is a magic number. Go 33 triple drive. Cheyenne says no guard. We drive check. Zorga, front order. And at this point, I realize I need to kill him. And thank God I rushed him early. Yeah, he got blasted. So, Grave Zorga, I'm much more willing to go rush face. But, it's still iffy, But, when it gets the job done, boy howdy it gets the job done, because Flagberg will not be able to deal with that kind of crackback. Alright, now this matchup is against Overlord. And
I'll be honest, I don't really understand
how Cheyenne manages to do so. In the entire play session, I never went first, which bothers me. Go Rancor Chain, checks a draw trigger, boom. Starting off strong, building up our hand. He gets a PG, not even sweating it. Discard the Miasma, I'm just going to get it back with Husk Dragon. I go Vanguard, boom, easy. He rides the end. Now, I'm kind of looking at this, and I thought it was the original Overlord, which, granted, I should have probably played a little differently. He has Ethan, and he used Flare Strike Dragon, so I figured I should PG this so that he doesn't have a chance to restand. So, I block this, eat the 1 damage. Easy. Nothing to worry about. We discard the draw trigger. Now, at this point, I have no real attackers. So, I kind of look at this hand and I'm kind of like, I'm going to swing rear guard. I'm gonna damage deny you. Check double heal trigger. Only one of them goes off, but it's fine. Cheyenne calls back down the Nahalim, and I'm like, man, okay, sure. I tell him 2 to pass, and of course, Span triple crits me. Now this kind of tilts me. However, it does not deter me. I still have a PG in hand, and I'm like, okay, I'll just PG it. Drive checks Persona Ride. At this point, can't attack anything else. I Persona Ride, draw into a dragon, and I'm like, ooh, okay, this is the time. I discard Miasma to get back Miasma, when in reality I should have just discarded the dragon. That was kind of a folly on my end. I kind of forget what I was plotting at that point. So anyways, Miasma, call back the dragon, Tear for Mal, or Gather Upon Me, dragons on board. Vanguard's going to be 33 triple drive. Here we go, 33 triple drive. Checks a crit. Go, crit power. Drive check 2 blanks. This man says 2 fronts, and I'm like, please stop it. Guards the whole turn, Persona Rides, and I'm kind of sitting here being like, I'm dead. So, yeah, we can already see where this is gonna go. Checks a credit. I said no guard, but yeah, that was kind of it. That's kind of what happens when you get triple credit out of nowhere, and you are not able to recover. Now comes the second strength. I look at this hand. I put 4 back. Boom. Accidentally drew 6 cards. Not an issue though. We opened Dragon plus 2 orders. Cheyenne goes first once again. I also kind of forgot to just save like the second or third game or whatnot. But discard the dragon, ditch in search of an idea. Easy. Nothing to worry about. Cheyenne's gonna get a PG as usual. Nice OTD. Checks a crit. And just absolutely loving it. Drew into the second roaming Crescent Dragon, which I was delighted about. Discarding the Miasma. Cheyenne's over here being like, me Overlord, me Monkey Flip Crit. And that was truly what it was like playing this set, where it's just like, damn, at the most inopportune times, just go. So he rides the end, calls out the Nahalim, calls down Burning Horn Dragon, and, Cheyenne's about to go in. Cheyenne is about, right before calling down Ethan, by the way. I say 2 to pass. What's the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? Checks heal. Checks front. This man broke every 2 to pass I threw at him in this match. Made me tilted beyond belief. At this point, I just say no guard. I've given up at this point. I check the defensive move trigger, and I'm like, nice. Attacks into side column, and I'm like, okay, let's stabilize this. We have a decent sized hand. Let's make something of this. I Shadow Cloak. I try to figure out what I'm getting. I'm getting Gather Ye Wandering Souls. Zorga, ditch in search. Get back Miasma. Call down the Headhunter. I decide I want to call the Shadow Cloak to the side just so that I don't have to call over it, because I just want to have it there just in case I'm able to bounce it back to hand in some way. So we Gather Upon Me, we Miasma, get some dragons. We go 23 triple drive. Go 3, 3, 3. I realize I'm dead if I don't, there's a very, very high chance that, that I do not, kill him. So, swing in, I push him to 5. I was like, nice, cool. Doesn't find the Persona Ride, doesn't matter, he has Flare Strike, so it's gonna be 28 regardless. I look at this board, I'm kind of like, I need to PG, and then I will eat the second attack. So, end of the battle, restands, gets 5k because of the thing that went into Soul. I say no guard. Cheyenne proceeds to drive check a grade 2. I'm like, no, that's my miasma. And then front trigger's checked, and that's it. Pass the turn, Persona Ride, and I'm like, okay, let's McFrickin' lose it. Zorga for Zorga, discard miasma, get back Tear for Malice. Tear for Malice, in search of an idea far away, I choose this rogue headhunter. Open board state, dragons come back out. It's as if nothing happened. Now, we go in, 28k Vanguard, PG, and I'm like, okay, cool. Pot of Greed, draw trigger. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll give it to this one because this one's already getting 5k. So 50 attack, extra 5k, 58. If Cheyenne did not have the over trigger, he would have been dead. Which is why I like In Search of an Idea. It makes kind of magic numbers out of nowhere, but it also makes really big numbers out of nowhere. Which is what I especially vibed with in that particular instance. Because it was over trigger or PG, or just eat it. So here we go. Another Flare Strike. 28k, IPG. At this point, I have all 3 Prison Dragons in circulation. So I'm kind of like, okay, I'm comfortable where I'm at. Because if I can call over 1, I'm going to be set. Persona Ride. And here's where everything starts falling into place really nicely. So, I kind of look at my deck and I'm like, okay, Soul Blast for Zorga, get back Tear for Malice, discard the Pot of Greed. So, Tear for Malice, I decide what I'm alchemagicking with, and I'm like, I kind of want to bulk up just in case he has a way of surviving this. But while I'm looking, I'm kind of like, damn, there is not a lot of normal cards left in my deck. So, drawn to the Shadow Cloak, drawn to a second Shadow Cloak and the Rogue Headhunter, and I'm like, oh, bro, I'm about to go off. So, here we go. Shadow Cloak number 1. Shadow Cloak gets back Tear for Malice, and if you remember, Tear for Malice is in Soul. Shadow Cloak number 2 gets Gather Upon Me, Ye Wandering Souls, because the second one is over here. Call down the Sylvia, makes a 38k, this makes a 33k column, and automatically, I swing in full confidence. Why in full confidence? Because those 2 orders were 2 of 3 cards in my deck that were not triggers. So, I had 1 card in deck that was not a trigger that I could have possibly checked, and that was the last Rogue Headhunter. Deck thinning is deck winning. So I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. This is the end of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of Grave Zorga, how you think this build fares out. Let's talk about it. You know, I enjoy this build, and I want to see what you guys have recommendations or what your thoughts are on this. So have a great day. Bye.